I am your brother in Christ, and welcome back for another one of our live streams here. Today we will be covering videos, how to stream and how to create videos. I'll be talking about my experiences with here on YouTube and on BitChute, as well as how to develop what software I use to develop videos like we are doing now, as well as our live streams that I'm doing right now. Software is actually very similar, and I'll walk you through so you guys will be equipped to be able to create your own videos. After that, we'll be talking about hell, damnation, and sin, which is always a fun topic to talk about. And then after that, we'll wrap up with the Lord's master plan, God's master plan for all of humanity and all of time. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. So, you want to make yourself some videos and put them up on the internet, or you want to do some live stream. This comes to me by a request by one of the viewers there, just asking, what's the stuff you use? What do you use? How do you use it? What's the process that you go through? I'd say, first of all, you've got to sit down. You've got to have yourself an idea. You got to decide what you want to make. What sort of videos you want to do. If you want to do ministry, then you need to pick up topic accordingly. If you want to do like video games, then you've got to pick a video game that you really love to do, because you'll be spending most of your life doing it, actually. You'll be spending hours and hours and hours of doing nothing but playing that game. Even when you don't feel like doing it, you'll still have to play that game. It's so much fun. Or do you want to really do a self-help, or maybe a health guide or survival guide, or maybe some artsy stuff like my wife does, which she just released a great video on there? Or do you want to do some music? I know my wife just released her own song that she did, and it's amazing. I'm trying to promote as most efficiently as possible, if you haven't noticed. So, or do you just want to do a vlog? Do you just want to share your life with the rest of the world? So let's just dive into some pros and cons of each sort of format, how you do it, what software you can use for it, at least what I'm most familiar with. Let's go ahead and dive in. So you have a plan. You have an idea. So let's say you have an idea. You want to move forward with it. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Okay, now we got to plan it out. How do you want the video to do? Do you want this to be a comedy? Do you want this to be serious? Do you want to mix comedy and serious together in order to make some sort of monstrosity? Do you want to do music? How do you want that music video to progress? Do you want to do just you singing with lyrics, or do you want to have images and special effects going on as you're singing? If you're doing a gameplay, what sort of gameplay do you want? Do you want an intro before you even start doing it, like I do, an intro video? Or do you want to just go and dive right into it? Or do you want an outro video? These are the things that you have to decide, and some things help, some things don't. It really comes down to the individual personality of the person who's making these videos, as well as the people who are watching these videos. It really does highly resonate just with their personal preference. So I'm going to try to equip you guys to really be able to get your video or your live stream into the hands of those people who really want to watch it. That's what you want to do. Definitely now, because we're in the lockdown, we're in this coronavirus thing. Now is a great time in order to get into video production online, basically. So, you got a plan. Let's go ahead and say you've planned it out. You've got some sort of familiarity. First thing you got to do with your plans, make sure you're willing to throw it out the window, because that will happen. You'll just have to throw it out the window. There's no way around it. Videos change, formats change, games become obsolete. If you're doing that, be willing to change. So, next question is, okay, so you've got it, you're ready to start. Okay, equipment. You gotta go out and buy the best stuff, right? No. In fact, most of the YouTubers or streamers, or myself included, used very basic equipment at the beginning. And even now, a lot of the stuff I use is not expensive. A lot of it, as I go through this, I'll let you know it's free, which is always so much fun because I don't make money doing this. So let's go ahead and take a look. I use a blue microphone, which is pretty common right here. I'm trying to do this without making too many bangs, because I'm currently using it, and hopefully it doesn't come unplugged while I'm doing this, or that would be very, very embarrassing. The second one, I'm just using a Logitech 1080 HD webcam. I think the Logitech was like $60. The webcam was like $60, and it's great. The microphone is great quality. I think it's like $150. I picked mine up for $100 because someone already returned mine. And if you can hear my son in the background, he is being extremely chatty today. So we'll have that pleasure as this continues. So it doesn't take very much. In fact, you can even use the Logitech webcam does actually have a microphone in it. If you just want to start off with that, maybe you only want to spend $60 to get started. There you go. On top of that, most laptops nowadays have microphones and webcams already built in. So you can just use those. They're going to be lower quality, but you can use those. It's sometimes best to get something out there instead of nothing. So if you're going to get started, just do it. That's got to be the main thing, is just do it. Don't fiddle around. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Just do it. Even if it's lower quality than you want, just do it. And if what you're talking about, or your gameplay, or whatever it is that you're producing is of such good quality that people want to see it, you can always redo those videos later. You really can. Under better quality. So, the next question, this one's really key, and this is kind of like get me in some serious trouble and get a rage storm going in the comments. PC, desktop, or a laptop? Now, I personally would go with Windows operating system, not a Mac or Linux. Linux gives you much more flexibility as far as being able to go into the actual code and really mess around and really tweak things, but you can also really mess things up because you can go in there, mess around, and tweak things. You can tweak something and really you shouldn't. So I think that Windows seems to be gives you flexibility without being too flexible. Mac works all the time. Apple products, okay, pretty reliable, but you can't do very much with them as far as their flexibility goes. So I prefer Windows. As far as the operating system goes, it gives me the flexibility I like, but without me being incredibly stupid, which is something that we always have to guard against. It's my stupidity. So the next question would be desktop or laptop. That's the main thing. There's advantages to both. Laptops, you can move around, you can take it with you, you can record wherever you want. I'm really set up on both a laptop and a desktop. Desktops are much more capable than laptops are. Laptops have to be they have to compress everything down in there, and there's not a lot of wiggle room inside there that reduces airflow, which can also lead to overheating very easily if you have the processor going on high all the time, as like video editing will do. So my experience, I've had much better experience with desktops than I have with laptops, just because laptops can be an utter pain. So let's go ahead and see. And another thing about desktops over laptops is you can modify desktops pretty easily. You can take cards out, you can add more processing, you can add more adaptability with it. You can't really do that with laptops. They're just really tight. I've taken apart laptops, I've taken apart desktops. It's much easier to work with desktops than it is to work with laptops. So that being said, I normally will only go with something that has well over a terabyte of memory, if not 2 or 3. If not, then I'll expand it to meet that criteria. On top of that, RAM, I will never go below 16. In fact, I think I'm up to 32 on my desktop. Yeah, on my desktop I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, just to be able to process it and blow through about anything without any issue. So that was worth the extra investment in it. So software. So what sort of software do I use? I use one software for both streaming and just recording. That's OBS. It's Open Broadcast Software. It's free, which is again something I like. It's free, which is nice. It allows for a lot of flexibility as far as being able to either stream, as you can see down there on the right side. You can see either a start streaming or a start recording. You can go and make a lot of different settings. You can change your quality before you stream, and then even as it streams, you can go through different scenes. You can flip through things. You can add different sources on top of each other, layer them real nicely. That's what I'm doing right now, in fact, with my little camera here. And you can change things as at runtime. So as you're streaming, I can click and drag my little portrait here and make me go really crazy. Or I can take the screen back here, I can move it around. I can do whatever I need to in order to facilitate what my needs are at the time. So OBS really gives you that flexibility without being a large investment of money. I don't think there's anything actually paid on there. I have used it for years now and have not needed to pay anything on it. So, woohoo! Free is good in this case. And it's really reliable for both streaming and video quality. The only downside is it takes all of your sound that's recording and puts it only to one sound strip, basically. So you don't have layered sounds in your file. It's just one continuous sound. So that would be the only disadvantage I've found with it, which it has been a bit of a pain before, but it works, and I've been able to work around it. So that's the software I work with. Again, it's OBS. It's Open Broadcast Software. You can find it online. You can download it. It is free to use, which is fantastic. So let's say you got your video, you got it recorded. You're going to make a video. You're not going to stream. So you got it. It's all ready. The next step, and this step does not happen with streaming. The next step would be to edit your video. And this is where you're going to spend most of your life, is editing. The advantage with stream is, boom, you're done. It's finished. I don't have to edit after we're done streaming. Unfortunately, I can't edit any of the whoopsies. If I misspeak, it is out there on the internet for everyone to laugh at. I am very much stumbling over my words a lot of times. You can't tell. So I will go through and I'll edit if I'm going to release a video on its own. If not, then streaming. I do like streaming. There's a lot of advantages with it. One, it's no editing. Two, I can interact with you guys as I'm streaming. If someone jumps in there and starts making comments, I can react to them. I can talk to them. It's more of a personal connection. With pre-release videos, yes, I can add special effects. I can add cool things to it. I can do some of those basic things with streams just to OBS's flexibility, but I can't do nearly as much as I could if it's a pre-recorded video that I'm editing. But I won't be able to interact with anyone in the comments below while the video is playing. So that is a disadvantage to making a video over streaming, and then there's advantages both ways. So it's really your decision on which way you want to go, what type of videos you want to do. I found that, again, I like not editing. I would spend so many hours just editing. And even now, on my COVID-19 videos that I do, the Wuhan flu, where I'm talking about each individual number, per state. I do a lot of editing with that because there's a lot of special effects that I want to add to it. A trick that I've really picked up is if you can use OBS right here, the software that I'm using, in order to alleviate, I don't think that's an actual word, but to relieve any sort of editing you have to do afterwards. If you can kind of push it into OBS's domain where you do it as you're recording, it makes life so much easier. And can cut down on editing because if I'm doing a 20-minute video, sometimes it takes me up to an hour to do, or even a 15-minute video, it takes me up to an hour. And if you put enough to where you're doing it as you're recording, and maybe just using your arrow keys on your keyboard, it can really reduce the editing time down to 20 minutes. That can save you so much time. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and continue. So, you've got your video, you got it edited, or maybe you live streamed, and it's up there. The next question is... Oh, there's the OBS. Sorry, I didn't switch to OBS. That's the interface for the OBS. I apologize, I didn't switch to that before this point. But no, there you go. You got your tracks, you got your sound tracks, you got your video tracks, you can have multiple on top of each other. You can compile it. This was from the Judas video that I did. I did as a live stream, then I downloaded it, edited it, added sound to it, and then re-uploaded it. Which is something you can also do, which does actually save a lot of time. So, now the question is, what platform? Where are you going to post it? If you're streaming, you have such websites as DLive, Twitch, and YouTube. All do live streams. As far as videos go, I know BitChute does videos. Of course, YouTube does videos. Those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. Those are the ones I am on, by the way. And thank you guys so much, by the way. We have passed 100 on BitChute, which actually means quite a bit. Doesn't sound a lot to you YouTubers, but it does actually sound quite a bit for BitChute because it's a much smaller platform, but it doesn't have nearly as many rules and regulations and loops you gotta jump through before you can post things like YouTube. Jerkwads.
Oh no, he said that YouTube was jerkwads on YouTube. He's going to get demonetized.
Ha! You already took that away from me! It doesn't matter. Yes, you can't earn money on YouTube anymore if you're some small person. So the next thing you really want to do, and if you're doing YouTube, you have to do this. This just makes life so much easier. Again, this is free. So there's really no reason not to do it except for your own freaking laziness. So, VidIQ. VidIQ is a free browser add-on for Chrome. It just helps so much. As I go into actually talking about how the videos are uploaded to YouTube and tricks with that, I'll get into better detail. But right now you can see that it gives you a score. It lets you know what would be best with it. This was just from their website. Like to dislike ratio, YouTube likes, YouTube comments, and so forth. And it goes out to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It gathers a bunch of information that you can then use to optimize your videos, which is so nice. It really is. So VidIQ is definitely an add-on that you'd want to attach. It also gives you suggestions as far as what sort of tags you want to add, what sort of quality your title is, if you've got good words in your description. If you've got words that are in your description, your title, and your tags that all match up real nicely, they'll give you, it's a 3-word combo, basically, is what it's called, and really hits the YouTube search algorithms really well, and that's something that you definitely want to take advantage of. Take advantage of every little bit of description you can put in there because it's so nice. It really helps with the search results. So, the next thing on our list. Social media, make sure to take advantage of this so much. Right now I am on Twitch. No, not Twitch. I abandoned that one pretty quickly. They didn't like me on there too much. I'm on BitChute as far as videos go, YouTube, and then I'm on Gab and Minds primarily. Those are the ones I really use, but post them anywhere. Get into groups. Get into groups that are around the videos that you make, and then post your videos there. Let them know that you exist. If it's a Christian forum, you can use those. They are very effective. Just be careful you don't violate their terms of service on whatever platform you're using, because they will kick you off of it. If not, you can always move. That's why I don't use Twitter. So, let's go into our next one. So, yes, social media is critical, but on top of that, we have our videos. So, we've uploaded. Yes, I moved myself over a little bit. So, we've uploaded. We've got everything going. This is from my free will video. Video on free will. So we've got our description up top, we got our title, description, all of our links in there. Going down, we got our thumbnail, which again is critical. If you don't put a thumbnail on your video, it's your own laziness. I mean, thumbnails are so critical to be able to get. And as I'm scrolling down, you see the VidIQ little section there that's right next to me, like right there. Right there. The camera's inverted, so it's very hard to do. You can see that I got a checklist. It says, hey, make sure there's at least one card, an end scene, you know, make sure that there's monetization's enabled. Yeah, but YouTube took that away from me. Can't do that. But add to playlist, make public, share on Twitter. So someone shared this one on Twitter, share on Facebook with at least one like. These are all things that you can do to boost your search results in the algorithms. So you got your tag count, you got your tag value, you got your keywords in title. Make sure you have your keywords in title. Make sure those are maxed out. If not, fiddle around with there, and I'm going to give you guys a little trick in order to make them more efficient. Each word you put in your title is critical, so that you can really optimize that. And then in your description, make sure those are critical. Then underneath there, you've got your tags, and these are always so much fun. As you can see, I have a little bit of extra features on each of my tags. Right here, we have this little arrow button that's right at the beginning of the tag. If I click on that, it pulls up VidIQ, which then gives me some suggestions. Says, hey, with this tag you have here are a couple recommendations. Here's how many times they're searched. Here's how many their overall value. You know, are they of high value? Should you put it in there? Is there high competition? You know, what's the deal with this? Would this be efficient for you to put this tag in this video in order to use up that space? Because you only have like 500 characters put in there. So you can put that many tags in there. I know if you're working on BitChute, they only allow 3 tags. So you won't have this much flexibility, but you can use this to optimize that one. You can pick your most valuable ones on here and post it on that one. In fact, if you look at the numbers next to the tag there, number 2 on the first one there, that means if someone searched that phrase, it's the second one that gets pulled up. At least at this point, as I'm making it. That might change by the time you get to it. So that's some of the stuff that VidIQ does that really helps you optimize it. There's also other things as far as adding cards. You can save templates, then you can import them real quick. It just helps you be able to reach a larger audience. So yes, take a few minutes, install it, let it go, do its thing, and follow its advice. It allows you to optimize your videos very quickly and very easily. So now the question is, okay, I got the video, I got it uploaded, I got a thumbnail for it, I got a little bit of a description, I got a tag, I got some tags. I got my title. I used VidIQ. Got a few more valuable tags in there. Okay, well, how do I optimize my title? Make sure it is the best it could be for what I'm trying to make. For that, I'd recommend
Google Trends.
Google Trends is a very powerful tool, but very overlooked. I've not seen anyone else on YouTube suggest using Google Trends, actually. Watched quite a few videos on how to do videos, and it's like, guys, you're missing this really critical tool here that can really help you guys out. You can do searches. You can type in whatever you want to. For example, let's just search in Bible. They search topic Bible. Okay, there it is. It's pretty steady going through. It got a little bit of an upswing recently, but it's a pretty stable search parameter. Well, if you want to compare it to something else, or if you want to scroll down, you can see which state searches it more. You can also see related quotes. You know, if you're doing upon the Bible, a Bible study, you can then go down here and say, okay, what else do people search when they search the Bible? Okay, coronavirus in a Bible? In the Bible? We'll go ahead and click on that, and you can see, wow, there's a large jump. There seems to be a peak here, but then it drops back down and might be coming back up. So it seems like everywhere except for one state is looking at it. Everyone there is just ignoring the Bible. Okay, fine. Whatever. So, but you can then compare it to the Bible. If I can type right. There we go. You can compare it to the Bible, and you can see the Bible is much more popular. On average, its average is much higher than... I would assume it would be somewhere over here, but I just can't see it anymore. Too small. But you can see it, you can compare it together, you can do different searches in order to compare it together to see which one would be the more valuable. So you'd want to have Bible in your title. So Bible study, Bible something, in order to take advantage of this. And Google would then search, and if you've got Bible in both your title, description, and tags, then it will come up much more readily than other videos that only have it in their title. So optimize your titles, optimize your descriptions, use words that are search compatible. You know, compare different words together in order to, because you can have, in order to optimize your videos, you can have multiple words on here and compare them together just to see what you've got. And you can compare anything. Let's compare it to gravity. Okay, gravity is a bit better, but if it comes between gravity and Bible, I'd take the Bible. Because it's much higher, one thing, and two, I kind of like my eternal soul. So, between gravity and the Bible's much better. Between coronavirus in the Bible, we see it. Let's do this just for the fun of it. Let's take the Bible out of there and just do coronavirus versus the Bible versus gravity. Okay, well, you can definitely see coronavirus has a big spike here above everything else. Although, overall, the Bible is still much more effective. But during this pandemic that we're having, coronavirus is critical to have on your search results. Or in your description, or in your title, or in your tags. So, if you get the opportunity, throw them in there. As long as they apply. Don't do it if they don't apply. Don't be a jerk. Don't do it just because it's popular. So, we got your video up there. We got everything ready. It's all set to go. So, what next? Well, then this is where it really kind of gets hard. Consistency. You've got one video up there. Very good. Very good for you. Now do it again. And again. And again. And keep doing it. And for the next 10 years, keep doing it. Keep building your community around the videos that you're producing. And that's pretty rough. Now, if you cannot be consistent, say you work odd hours, and you're doing this in your off time whenever you've got time, you're playing video games, so why not? Let's go ahead and just jump on there together and stream and have fun with it. Fine. If you can't be consistent, it's better to have something than nothing. It's better to be consistent than have something inconsistent. But if it comes between being consistent and not having any videos at all, take the inconsistent route. Still release. Because there'll still be people there to watch their videos. It might not be as effective, but it's still reliable. The last thing you want to do is release 10, 20 videos and then sit there for the next year and not do anything. Because people will be waiting for more things to come out. If you've got a whole bunch of videos backlog that you've recorded a whole bunch and you're ready to release, you can space them out once a week, or you can do them every day. I wouldn't do a massive dump and then nothing ever again, because that doesn't work so well. You get people ticked off because they keep waiting for the next one because they want to hear what you have to say. But they just never hear it because you don't post any videos. So that consistency, keeping it consistent, is such a pain. Building that community, using social media, those are all critical. I think if you take these main points, take them, write them down, do them, I think it will be very efficient. I'll put it in the description when I release this video independently of the live stream. What the steps are, some of the suggestions, links to download both OBS and HitFilm. That way you guys can easily get on there. YouTube, I will make a warning about YouTube. It seems to be having a bit of a hard time with some of the decisions that corporate YouTube is making. They're killing their creators basically off. So I would recommend jumping from YouTube into a competitor like BitChute. Focusing on BitChute as well as YouTube at the same time. You can build a community in both and then use it. That's basically what I'm doing. So without further ado, we will continue on to our next topic. Thank you guys so much for joining me for that one. And we are going to jump into something rather interesting. Oh boy.
Oh, this one's a fun one.
Hell, damnation, and sin. The concepts of each, we'll talk a little description on them according to what they are in the Christian belief. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like the video, subscribe, and I'm on BitChute, YouTube, and Gab. I like gabbing a lot. Actually, I'm trying to build that up and light a fire under its butt. So if you could help me doing that, I would appreciate it. And also on Minds. Minds is a wonderful alternative to Facebook. It's not the best. There is issues, but they're still decent. So let's talk about this. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about sin. Sin, according to the Christian faith, is anything that separates us from God. There's a myriad of them. Focus mostly on destroying anything that would destroy that relationship, anything that would cause that division. Like I said, we are all born into sin. That's the concept of original sin. We as Christians believe that every person, no matter their age, is born into sin. That leads to an interesting question. What about children? I'll cover that in another topic. But we are all born into sin, and there's nothing we can do. It is like inheriting a huge debt. We inherited $1 million. We cannot even hope to pay that off if we're only making $1 a day. So there's no way of paying that off. But luckily, we do not have to in this case. We'll be going deeper into that with God's master plan, which will be the next video after this one. So let's look at hell. Hell. What is hell? Hell, damnation, fire, and brimstone. That's the common depiction of hell, although I question if that's actually literal as far as that's what it looks like. Is there a place called hell? Yes. Is there a place that's suffering, torment? Yes. Originally, it was intended for Lucifer and the fallen angels, but as humanity fell, it ended up being the place that's separate from God. And as we choose to sin, if we have that separation from God, we are choosing to pursue something that is not God and not to pursue that relationship with Him. So we're living in a sinful way. If we die, the only place that we can go that God's not is hell. So that's where we will end up. And in that being, in that concept of hell, is without God, without every aspect that is God is taken away from that place. Right now we live in a place that is still touched by God's glory, by God's majesty. And so saying that we see His works throughout the world, throughout nature, we see His being even in the sunlight that we get to enjoy, or in the simple rain showers, that relief, that pleasure, those are all things that come from God. Sin is anything that twists that, where God originally intended it for one thing. Sex is a great example of this, where God intended sex to be between a husband and wife only. Humanity and the devil have twisted it into something monstrous, into something that could destroy marriages, destroy relationships, destroy lives, end kids' lives, and induce a lot of pain and suffering. That pursuit of that sexual pleasure outside of God's will for humanity can cause such destruction, and always does if it's not done in the right way. So that is what it is. So if that's the concept, if I live a sinful nature, and then I were to decide not follow Christ, not follow the Bible, not repent of myself, not accept what is freely given, and I end up dying, I will go to hell. Now, does that mean that God creates people just to send them to hell? I mean, why does God send people to hell? Doesn't He love everyone? Isn't God love? According to Christian theology, isn't God love? So why would a loving God send someone to hell? I don't think it's the question so much of if God sends someone to hell. It's God respecting the decision of that individual, even if that means that God can never see that individual again. Even though God sacrificed everything in order to have the opportunity to have that relationship with you. If you choose to pursue sin, to live a sinful life, you will give up that, and God will respect that decision. So it's not so much that God is sending you to hell, sending you there because He just hates you and wants you to suffer. No. It is more your decisions. Who's going to pay the bill at the end? That's where it comes down to. Are you going to allow Jesus, who died upon the cross, to pay for your sins? And so paying for that price? Or are you choosing to allow and take that punishment on yourself? I just did a video Friday about Judas, and really compared Judas to Peter. And we see that dichotomy between both of them as one who chooses to control their own lives and then end up in hell because they chose to take the punishment upon themselves, to someone who chooses to repent of what they did, even though both of them betrayed Christ when He needed them the most. One was forgiven and entered into the kingdom of heaven. The other one took it upon themselves and chose hell. That's where it really comes down to, what is your choice? Do you choose to pursue sin? Or do you choose to pursue heaven? The choice is yours. The path's not easy. Choosing heaven is not easy. Choosing that relationship with Christ is not easy. I remember on my testimony video, someone got on there and said, so you just chose Christianity because you're lazy. Like, what the frick are you talking about? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work in order to pursue Christ, in order to deny someone's sinful nature, your nature that you naturally want to do. In order to deny that so that you can pursue Christ is hard. So rewarding, though. Absolutely so rewarding. But the alternative is you go your own way. You go under your own power. And the only way that leads, the only place that leads to, is hell. So does hell exist? Yes. Does God send you there? No, it's more us sending ourselves there. Christ is the only way out of it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We're going to continue on to the next one, but if you guys are just watching the video, I do greatly appreciate it. We're about ready to go into God's master plan and take a look at every aspect from creation down to the early spread of Christianity. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for joining. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Welcome back. Okay. So God's master plan. All the pieces moving. I've seen a lot of examples of where God is playing chess with the devil. That really, he's kind of a false comparison to what reality is. Yeah, we're kind of going through this, and yes, God has a master plan, and he's putting everything together, and the devil's kind of just reacting to everything as it progresses. Because he knows what the end is, but he can't see the future, and he's kind of guessing as he goes. He does fumble over himself quite a bit. He is actually also a really good planner. But in the game of chess comparison, you're assuming that both of them have the same opportunity to win and the same strength. It's not. So it's more like me picking up a gun and going against a Marine. Results going about the same. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. So looking from the very beginning, creation itself. So creation itself, God created the earth and it was perfect at some point. But as I've explained before in previous videos, if you force someone to love you, it's not really love. If someone willingly desires to pursue a relationship with you, it is so much more fulfilling than if they're a robot and every time you walk downstairs it says, "Good morning, honey," in a robotic voice. So it's no. So God gave us the option there. It's not that we're forced to love him or we're forced to pursue this path. He gave Adam and Eve an option. And even when Adam and Eve screwed it up, he allowed for an alternative. It's very good that I was not God, because I probably just wiped out humanity and started over. I would just hit the reset button. But God loves us more than, at least I would in that situation. So we progress down the story, and then it picks up with Abraham. Main point, because this is where God really starts coming together and putting his plan together. Back in creation, after Adam and Eve were thrown out, God did state there his plan, and the rest of the Old Testament is just him putting his plan into motion and preparing it. So, and preparing the world for what his plan entailed. So back then he told the serpent that the woman's seed will crush his head, and he would bite his heel, which we will see that fulfilled as we continue. So God revealed himself to Abraham, and Abraham replied. In this picture, Abraham is about ready to kill his son Isaac. It is not a very nice scene, but thankfully that did not happen because God kind of needed Isaac. So, but Abraham did reply. Now, Abraham was not someone of great standing. He was not someone who was, at least at the time that God revealed himself to him, was not someone who ruled nations. He was not an influential leader. He was just a merchant. God revealed himself. He responded with faith. Abraham responded with faith to God, believed him, and stepped out in faith, and that was contributed to him as righteousness. So he knew very little about God. He did not know what we know at this point. Looking back at history, he did not know God to the same level as we did, but because he was willing to step out in faith on just a little, he was rewarded greatly. So, as this progresses, Israel is founded, and then they screw up. Again and again and again. So badly that God has to pull in another nation in order to punish them. We start off with the Assyrian Empire. Came through. It's really started a progression of empires that we'll see shape the world as well as play into the Lord's hands. It's very interesting looking back at the Bible and seeing God's intent and understanding what God wanted to do, and see these nations playing as if they're puppets for God, playing their role. So the Assyrians came in, they conquered, and then, yes, they're evil, yes, they're corrupt. Lo and behold, Babylonian Empire came in, wiped them out. Egypt split off, got their independence. The Babylonian Empire came in, crushed them, and conquered. Again, still evil. Didn't listen to the Lord. And then Babylonian Empire fell to the Persian Empire, which came in and flooded in. Now, the Persian Empire played really two major roles here in God's plan. First of all, yes, as punishment of Israel again, and to punish, three, to punish both Israel and Babylon, as well as to kind of tick off some guy in a backwater nation called Greece. And that little guy grew up and then conquered the known world. Alexander the Great spread through the entire known world, all the way out there. Wow. Conquered and burned and did not rule. He was just a conqueror. That's all he was. He did not have a real good ability to rule other than just to hold for a while. And after his death, the entire Greek nation, which just expanded, completely collapsed into multiple little nations. But this did a major key event here. It spread Greek ideals, such as democracy, such as critical thought. And this is actually critical to the spreading of the Bible later on, as well as just help with the expansion. So they fell. They were all broken up. And then this small nation from way out west started growing, started getting going, and started to think itself a little big. And then it became big. I am, of course, referring to the Roman Empire, which is still, to this day, one of the most amazing as well as groundbreaking nations to ever exist. The Roman ideals and the Roman Empire itself left such a mark on Europe and the rest of the world that many of the nations that came afterwards tried to become Rome itself, although many of them failed. So, taking a look at this, Rome, what did Rome do? Rome helped with peace, spread peace throughout this region, which was a huge expansion of region at this time. It was absolutely huge. I mean, it was all the way up. You see it all the way up there in England down to, through Mesopotamia, down past Egypt. I mean, just touching quite a few corners of the earth. Now, again, you got a peace. They could travel throughout the Roman Empire, a universal currency throughout the Roman Empire. So this, before Rome, this is unheard of, being able to travel from Gaul all the way to Mesopotamia without maybe a few robbers, but basically have a decent travel. And they built roads. Rome is known for their roads. They built roads and eased travel. Key aspects there, because that allowed Christianity to quickly spread. One other aspect of Rome is they had a deep respect of ancient, what they would classify as ancient religions. Judaism fell under this, and you can see that even in the Bible, why Rome let them basically rule themselves to an extent and practice Judaism in their pagan empire, is because they respected those ancient beliefs. Now, when Christianity comes, they see Christianity as a usurper, not so much an extension of this ancient religion. So, that brings us to the main focus. Because after Rome went through, the world was ready. You had the Greek philosophy go through. You had the Greek language go through and root itself in a lot of these nations. You had Rome establish roads and ease of travel, as well as an easy economy. As far as if I have Roman coins, they're good in Spain, as well as Israel, all throughout Turkey, down to Egypt, all throughout that area. Those coins are good, even up to Britannia up there. It's good. I can take money and I can go where I want with it. Allowed easy travel. And that is key. So then the cross happens. And this is really where the focus, all the buildup was to all these different empires going through. 5 different empires going through over this expansion, as well as Israel building up. All the events that went on with Israel, all the way back to creation, we see the Word of God come and give itself up for us. We see Jesus die on the cross and give us the option of our salvation. But that's not where we end here. Many people will focus on Easter, since this is the Easter live stream. They would focus on this. But I'm also going to focus on what happens afterwards. Because you have Jesus' death, resurrection. He comes back. Right after Jesus' death, we find the disciples who were all with Jesus, loyal to some extent. They did betray Jesus in some regard. Each of them did. Hiding, trying not to be seen by the Roman guards. Why? Because they didn't want to be executed, which I can happen to share their concept. I wouldn't want to be executed either. But we see a major change after Jesus' return. And even if you're a secular person who believes only in what you can see and touch, we can look at Jesus' death. We know for a fact that his followers did go into hiding. We know that Jesus did die on the cross. There's no question of that in any secular study of history. as well as, of course, Christianity does not question that. So the only thing of question with secular thought on this would be the resurrection of Christ. So if we take the resurrection of Christ, what really makes no sense is the disciples' response. Because after Jesus comes back, he's raised from the dead according to Christian theology, and then ascends to heaven, and the Holy Spirit comes on Pentecost and comes to the disciples. We see a massive expansion of Christianity throughout the Roman world. The map of early Christian expansion throughout the world. And as you can see, it quickly grew in a couple hundred years from a small group of 12 into now the largest religion of the world in the world. So, but the question is, why did the disciples do that if Jesus never raised from the dead? If Jesus did not raise from the dead and the disciples were hiding, what was the key event that triggered them into being willing to die for their beliefs? Because they all ended up dead. They all died martyrs. Memory serves, not a single one of them escaped martyrdom. So they were all willing to die from this. And one of my favorite quotes about martyrs is that liars make horrible martyrs. If you know this is a lie and that Jesus never came back, Jesus never raised from the dead, then why on earth would you be willing to die for that? And not only one person, but 12? 12 willing to die for a lie. Yeah. You might be able to get one. You might be able to get two. But 12. So you see this quick expansion all the way through the Roman Empire because of the groundwork God did beforehand. Groundwork of Alexander the Great, who was inspired by the Persian Empire because of the killing of his father. You see that it was able to spread quickly because of the Roman roads that were put in as Rome expanded. And lo and behold, after Christianity went through, Rome fell not long after that. Once Christianity was able to expand to every part of the Roman Empire, it wasn't long after that it was quick decay. So could you say that, oh, it's Christians' fault? I've actually heard people blame the fall of Rome on Christians. It's Christian fault that Rome fell, and I guess in a way, you can think of it that way. Because God no longer needed them. And the secular organization has done some horrible, horrendous things to its own people as well as followers of Christ. Has killed, murdered, executed, thrown to the lions many, many, many people, burned people alive at stakes. God's not mocked. And he is a just God. So what comes around goes around. And Rome fell after that. But not until after it had fulfilled God's purpose. So that is God's master plan there unfolding. There's a lot more to it. I just did a brief cover of it. I do want to dive into the disciples' work after Pentecost, even after Acts and Romans. So we focus a lot on Paul's journeys, but I think there's a lot to be learned by the fates of each of the disciples. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like and comment on this video. Subscribe. If you guys want to follow me on social media, Gab and Minds are the best place to find me. Check out my wife's video on her song, which is amazing. I'll put the link in the description below, and I will see you guys in our next video. Let's go ahead and end with prayer. Lord of heaven and earth, thank you for the opportunity that we have to share the gospel with the world. Thank you for the opportunity to look back at history and see your fingerprints throughout it. See how you move empires as if they're nothing more than Legos in order to build your plan. Thank you that we have the opportunity to serve such a great God. Please guide us and show us how we can join you in your plan. In Jesus' name.